Hello and welcome to our Planet Coaster Harder Challenge Mode series. And in this we are working on Matford Park, continuing to work on Matford Park. And if you are new to the series, this is a harder challenge mode where we actually added some rules to make it a little bit more challenging for us. And those are going to pop up on your screen here shortly. Now, what we're working on in this episode, we are adding a new attraction here, the Swift Eagle attraction, and this is a pretty light and pretty easy episode for me. There's not a whole lot of theming that we do. Of course, you can see that we're building a tunnel for the train, so we had to, of course, take on or add some of the restrictions for the game back in, so we didn't just build the terrain up over the track, but we got that in here, and now it is just a lot of rock work, and that is the majority of what this episode is just rock work. There's not much else going on, to be honest. It's just trying to fill in an area of the park that I was really struggling with. And, you know, the Swift Eagle ride was not the first choice for this area. However, when I was simulating through since the last episode, I was just kind of playing around, trying to map out how I was going to work this episode. And the other attraction that I was going to set in here just didn't seem right. It seemed a little bit too tall. It certainly would have been a much more profitable ride than what the Swift Eagle is, but I do think we are going to be just fine with this attraction. And I think once we get everything set in here, this actually works out really nice. Now, of course, the one nice thing about rocks is we can really encroach into the ride area that the game provides for this. Of course, we had to go in and move some of the rocks back a little bit because the cars were clipping through as they flew by, but there's some areas where we wanted it to be nice and close to these rocks. No possibility of striking the rocks, but, you know, just kind of close in on that ride pad to make it not look so massive, and to kind of give it its own shape, just to look a little bit more like, okay, well, this ride is more of like a carnival ride that's just kind of plopped here. It seemed to work, and then they kind of built up around it when they knew the area wasn't going to be any bigger, or it wasn't going to need to be any bigger. So now we do a lot of fencing in this, and we continue with our fences that we have had for the last couple videos that we've added in here, and you know, I think it just kind of fits this area. I really like the way these look, just some simple wooden beams with the chain link fence turned on its side, so it makes it look a little bit smaller. And you know, I think it's a great barrier for the train, so we're going to continue with that through the next couple episodes. Now, we do add some little rocks in here. It's not so significant that we needed to have a railing in that area, and I definitely don't want to duplicate a railing because they're not right up against each other. And then, of course, trying to figure out how we're going to tidy in the entrance portion and the rest of the queue. Now, I was debating about just having rocks in this area as well, but I was like, no, you know what, I think we should have at least one of the sides of these paths in between the priority pass queue. It should have a proper fence there, so we definitely get those in there. And of course, the priority pass queue actually has it on both sides, so that is definitely a nice and tight little area. And of course, we were able to square off the one edge, which made it a whole lot easier for us as well. And then as we kind of finish up this little area, I knew we were going to put in some taller trees here, so I did leave the opening in the middle there. We don't just fully roll rocking that word, rocking, put rocks all over in there. We do add some small rocks, but nothing too significant while we're adding that in there. Now, once we get this in here, we do put in some little rocks just to kind of cover up some of the areas that we didn't want to put in a second fence there, so that just kind of closes that in. And in this little area, we just kind of wooden beam it all the way across. Now, we do want to have a little curb, and I really like the look of the wooden curb that we used in the last episode leading up to the train, which actually you can't really see it in any of the pictures here. You might get a glimpse of it, just on the other side of the path there. But I really like the way those look, so we're probably going to continue with those in some different areas as well as we get through this episode. Now, you can see we are adding some different flowers that are going to be loosely themed to what the theme of this attraction is. And of course, we did have the train park there to make sure we had our clearance properly there. So we're looking through some smoke and then just finishing up some of the vegetation in this area. And like I said, I wanted it to be some taller trees. I think it would be there would be some tall trees in this area, but I also wanted to be aware of the sight lines that we were going to be blocking with those trees as well. Now, the tunnel, you know, I wasn't planning to put rocks in the tunnel. I was just going to use the standard rock terrain texture, but I didn't like the way it was looking, so we go ahead and we added a bunch of rocks. We did get a little repetitive because we used the same rock quite a bit on the walls, but then again, I was thinking, you know, however this was cut, it might be a little repetitive. It might be something that you just see the same, and honestly, we're not going to see it that much, so I am not that concerned about it. I did take some effort to change a little bit of it, but nothing too significant inside the tunnel there. Now, as I take a quick sip of my beverage, just some good quality water, we do continue to focus on more and more rocks in this area. We really want to get the terrain in this area kind of set, because we have there's not much planned in this area. You know, I've had a couple ideas as I was going through this, so you know, some of this could change, but most of it is going to be finalized. This is going to be what you see for the rest of the park's life. And you know, I wanted to make sure that we're not getting too repetitive in some areas. Obviously, there's going to be some areas that are going to you're going to be able to pick out the same rock, but I was trying to rotate them as much as possible. And then of course, down below the train as well, there is a pretty steep wall here that was definitely going to benefit from some rocks as well. And you know, that's the one spot that I'm thinking that may actually change here in the future. But we quickly finish up this rock wall and tidy up some of the other area, and then we're going to add in a little wooden retaining wall. Now this is kind of weird because it's the train kind of forces the terrain to be high in the middle there, but then we've got paths on both sides that are a little bit lower. So this is kind of like a little weird area, and I tried a couple different things here. You can see I have elevated the path there, or the terrain there a little bit. Obviously this is just going to roll into the actual terrain, but we use those coconut pieces because those add a nice little texture that do seem like a mulch texture. So you know, I like the way this looks, and then obviously we put in some taller trees, because trees would really hold in the roots, and those would probably go down through what the actual planter is and into the ground. And those are what would stabilize that area. Now back to our fencing. We move the train up a little bit further in here. We're obviously extremely zoomed in, as we're trying to get this lined up. Now this is an area of the train that is going uphill, so we had to make some modifications to that, and obviously move around the terrain a little bit here as well. Now, the area in this area, there's not going to be rocks in that area, so we're obviously going to fill in some more trees. It's not a big sightline area, so tall trees kind of covering up that area was something that was definitely going to be a focus. Now, I knew I needed to have some type of fencing, so of course we continue our fencing from the other side. We just moved across here. We also wanted this to be a little access area for this part of the train, and that would get us to this little trestle bridge, which we're going to work on eventually. But before, and actually I think we're getting there. Yeah, so we had to close the train down to remove the current bridge that was in there, because, or the trestles, the supports that were in there, and now we move on to our own custom trestle, whatever, I don't know, word's working. So we get it's very simple. There's only going to be 2 supports, and there's going to be some cross beams and a middle beam, and that's pretty much going to be it. The big thing that was going to take the most was this little walking path along the inside of the train track, inside of the curve, and I wanted this to be here because I think you would have that. You would have a way for people to walk alongside. Of course, you'd have to have a railing, and I think this turns out really, really nice. I'm really pleased. It's actually pretty well hidden from everything else as well. So I think this turned out really, really good. And we don't really spend a lot of time on this in the live portion. This area is going to change pretty drastically. Not in terms of like the terrain, the bridge is obviously going to stay, but we're going to expand off of this path in the next episode. So this is going to change, and you're going to see this bridge and that little pathway a lot here in the next episode. So we don't spend a lot of time on this. Once we get everything tidied up, we get the supports and the footers and all that in here. We get it so it's not overlapping the path. We quickly move back into we put some wooden planks across the top, so that would kind of cover anything that would have dropped off the train that could have fell onto our guests that are walking underneath. That is definitely a necessary piece that we had to put in there. So again, I'm really happy with the way that's turned out. It's probably one of the happiest things I've built. Now, what we're going to work on here is we've come up with another AI generated image for our logo. Now, there were a couple different versions you could see. We had one with it looks like 2 L's in there for whatever reason. AI just doesn't work right with the fonts and whatnot. So this is the one we actually settled on. We actually edited this a little bit ourselves to get the L, that second L, out of there, and I think it's good enough. This is not one of the major attractions that we're going to see where we need to have our own custom sign, but it is something that I think is going to be really, really cool to see and look at as you go past. So really happy with the way that's turned out. I also really like it being offset in the back behind the ride, and it gives us a really cool opportunity to shed some light on that area in the back when it's dark out. And that's why you have the thumbnail that is at night for this one. I rarely do that because it's usually pretty hard to see, but I thought with the way that turned out that I think we could get away with it for this episode. So I'm happy with the way that turned out. Now, of course, we're adding in a bunch of trees, bushes, just kind of trying to make it look a little bit more realistic. Of course, we have to go back to our fences. We're going to try and tidy this area up here for the moment, and You know, I didn't want this to be to take too much. It really starts to come together when we start to put the benches and bins and stuff like that in. But you get all the way up around the corner, and then that was where I was like, okay, this is where I need to stop. This is going to change. But let's go ahead. We'll close this off so people could theoretically walk down here, which they never will because there's nothing down this way. So they'll just kind of let it be. And, you know, we just kind of did this for ourselves to make it look a little bit more complete in this area and not have to do this in the next episode, where we're going to have probably a pretty massive episode for what we're building. So, and yes, I've talked about that a lot. I am very excited to get to work on that. So I do expect it to take a little bit longer than what this one took to get out. I expect my build process, at least the beginning, to go very quickly as I'm creating the attraction. And then when it comes time to theme, I have an idea and a theory of how I want to theme it. And then I expect it's probably going to slow down significantly while I try and work through some of the challenges that I encounter as something that would come with an attraction like that. So I'm really excited for you to see that and get that done. But it may be a bit until you see that next episode. Now, just finishing up, we did add a little catch tray for Wicked Wolf all the way at the top, so anything coming off the chain would fall onto that to protect the people falling underneath, or walking underneath. And then, of course, just finishing up with some of the lighting to the area. Now, to try and make this a little bit more appealing, we focus on getting some lights up into the trees to just make that area pop a little bit more on both sides of the path. And then, of course, you can see the lighting on our logo, along with some dead trees that we just used to fill in, just kind of round out the area a little bit. Now, these floodlights on the top, we do move one of those, and I'm not thrilled with the one. I think they are necessary, and we do have them so that they turn off during the ride cycle, which I think is a nice touch, but you know, there is something that I think we're probably going to need to change with those as well. And then, of course, just finishing up, adding in some taller trees. There's not going to be any sight lines through here. The train, the focus is not for the train to be able to see through that area. You know, it's kind of weird. The tunnel actually kind of goes up above where that train would see anyway, so we have to cover that in there. And then, of course, changing the colors for Swift Eagle here as well. But yeah, we are quickly going through here, and you can see the last little thing here that I'm working on is just some of the triggered effects. Of course, we add in our little spiels for the attraction. Those turned out just as you would expect them, pretty mediocre. We do add a crow sound in the background, which I think is as fitting as a ride. You know, the whole idea of this was a vulture. I don't think we have a vulture sound. If I'm wrong, please let me know. But, you know, I think the crow suffices. And then, like I said, we do have the audio, or the lights from those floodlights turn off as well. And, yeah, you can see I'm searching through, seeing if we have anything, the crow sound, and just throwing that up top, because I think having that focused down. So, we are quickly coming to the end of the time-lapse, a little bit shorter time-lapse, a little bit shorter video, but we do have a full live portion coming up here where we handle the management features, so I will see you over there. Here we are in the live portion of today's video, and we certainly have the day-night cycle running for this one. And that's just because I really like the way this one looks at night, so I really want to remember to show you what this one looks like. But what you're looking at is the flyer. You can see we have the logo that was AI generated, which is why it kind of, the font's a little weird, but I thought it was too good to pass up. So we threw in the logo in the rock face here, and I think it looks really cool rather than having it up front here like it was originally planned. Plus it doesn't block off Wicked Wolf's turn quite as much. And, you know, this is a pretty light episode in terms of what we have going on here. So we'll just kind of zoom out here quick and take a quick gander over what we did. We did a lot of rock work. Of course, we did add in some train crossing guards, and I didn't record this because I couldn't find them every time I was in the recording, so I ended up just doing this off camera, and I think it's fine. These are just some Theme Maker Toolkit items that I thought these look good. They're animated, so we're not going to use them a whole bunch, so I figured it was worth putting them in. But we did get in. We added in our queue here for the flyer. We got our main queue. We also have the priority pass queue. This ride does not hold a lot of people, so I didn't want to make this queue too large. But we also did this cool tunnel. That now this is a little repetitive in this area, but again, I don't think this is that big of a concern here. You're never going to see this, and I just wanted to make sure it was covered up and it looked appropriate. So that's the idea behind that. But as you come up here, the train starts going up the hill. We got some really cool sight lines coming off to the right of the train. We did do some rock work up here. That is not repetitive. We did also some rock work down here. We got some fencing in. We got a little access gate here, which we'll of course detail this up a little bit more when we get to this path here. We added in some trees, and then of course we did a little trestle bridge, which really wasn't all that much. We did pretty much the supports, and we did a little walking thing here alongside, and that is the extent of where what we stopped at for building. I didn't think we had any need to continue further along. I just felt like it was something that we should try and get done because, like I said, this is a pretty light episode for what we were building. And I also need to make sure we had enough money for what we're going to build in this area in the next episode. So, again, this is a pretty light episode. We'll jump into the management features here, but I do really like the way this turns out. And actually, let me just get this into our nighttime lighting. And yeah, I just really like the way this ride looks. We got Wicked Wolf about to come down here, which is still in the dark. But when we actually start testing this, the spotlights, which this one I don't really care being on top of this pole here, this one will actually turn off. So will this one. And then we have a speaker up here that just makes a crow sound because that's the only bird sound that I can find that would fit in this area. So every cycle you'll hear the crow go. So every time it splits. We do obviously have the please remain seated and the safety spiel at the end. So there goes the crow. Now again, the lights did turn off, so it's slightly darker. It's not that big of a difference. I did double check. These cars do not come in contact with any of the rocks. They may get close to some of the bushes, but those are not nearly as much of a concern. They are getting really close here, but I promise you they do not hit. And I just kind of think this whole ride just looks so like it's just supposed to be here. And I'm really happy with that, and I hope you all enjoy this because like I said, it's refreshing to have an episode where it was just so light and easy to get through the process. Now, of course, like I said, we had an excellent simulation here, and we're making $6,000 currently, which I'm sure that's going to drop here soon. But having some staff location problems over at the guest service building. Not too concerned about that. So, yeah, this is. I'm pleased with the way this turns out. And you know what? We'll come down here from the train. You know, we're coming back in here. Obviously, we have this one tree that does kind of block off the area, but you can see this logo all the way through here. I did not think about where this thing was placed. The operator booth, I kind of wish I would have placed a little more, but honestly, I don't think it's that big of a deal because if you're looking at the logo from here anyway, you have to look through the ride, so it might be the best place to see it. And of course, I did not add in any speakers for just ambiance music in this area yet. That is going to come. But I wanted to wait until we get a little bit more finished with the area so I can strategically place those speakers rather than just plopping them down and figuring it out from there. So that will come. We'll also, I'm debating if we want to do another custom set like the other areas, or if we just want to steal like Steel Eagle Courtyard, because that kind of rolls in with this theme as well. So if you even want to call this a theme. But let's go ahead. We will jump into our management features. Like I said, we had an awesome simulation. The changes we made in the last episode were perfect, and we also did not get killed with breakdowns after we got the refurbishments done off camera. So that was excellent to see, because like I said, we are going to need quite a bit of money for the next episode. Anyway, moving on, we have happiness at 100%, happiness at 100% for staff. All of this is good. A lot of Skyride. And I don't know why there's two of these. That doesn't seem to make sense to me, but, you know, whatever. Most profitable ride is Crankshaft. That's a new one. And again, I think October was, we had a bunch of breakdowns at the end. I think both Empyrean and Steel Eagle both broke down, which is probably why this was that way. Propeller smoothies, that's pretty standard. Nothing out of the ordinary there. Most popular attraction, parking tram. Nothing too crazy. Graphs we're not too concerned about. Ticket prices. Priority passes. Well, we don't even have a fourth one. 1% of people got caught being pickpocketed. 6% of people. And this is actually funny because when I was building, I think while I was recording, there was one guest that had pickpocketed 27 different people, and he got caught, and that was all returned. So I was trying to get to him to see how much money he actually had on him when he got pickpocketed, but by the time I got there, he was down to $7, so they already had returned it back. So that was a really interesting thing to see. And we'll debate about the priority pass. We may go up a couple extra dollars here. Actually, let's do it. Let's go 17 to see what happens once we get Flyer open here. Our park rating, all of this seems pretty standard. Our finances, I'd like to get into the new month so we don't have stuff balancing over, but you know, we'll take a look. We're making a boatload of money. We made $9,000 in this month in September of year 174. That is crazy, and we only lost 2,000 here, and we're gonna be way up there again in this month. So yeah, you can see we've got $13,000 in tickets, and that is fueled by our ride and ticket sales. So that is just awesome. Coaster's doing pretty well also. Our small attractions, they've almost evened out, which is nice. priority pass sales. $900. That's maybe the most I think I've ever sold in priority passes in this series. Our shops installs, we made $2,500 in shops installs. That's insane. Obviously being fueled by shop sales. Our facility sales getting close to $80, so that's kind of offsetting a little bit. Hotel room sales, that's pretty decent. Everything else looking pretty good. No construction costs in that month there. And our loans, we don't have any loans, no graphs. Research, we don't have any research. Marketing, we stopped marketing, and I think that was probably a big issue with why we were losing money. I have not found a good time to market. I'm sure if you are running where you don't charge for rides, marketing is probably the way to go. You probably want people in the park or constantly coming into the park, where you get more people to pay for that entry ticket rather than people paying for the rides. We're not set up like that currently, maybe in the future, but right now just not something that's worth our while. Our staff, let's take a look here, and as always, if you're interested in becoming a part of the park, please let me know in the comments section below. Let me know which staff member you want to be, and we will get you hired in here and get you trained up and working towards helping out the park. So I would greatly appreciate some more staff members. We need a bunch of people. Of course, we do have the 4 entertainers here. We don't have any janitors, so of course we could use a new janitor. And you know, all of those are pretty good there. Our vendors, we have quite a few vendors in here that are helping us out. And actually, let's just take a quick gander through. We got Jenna Boyce at the front of the park inside at Hyde. She's heading to a staff building, so I'm not too concerned about that. She might have been the one that wasn't able to find a staff building. Marcy Deaton resting in a staff building, so not too concerned there. Front of the park inside, it's kind of busy there. That's pretty crazy. Our mechanics, they are all looking pretty good, so we don't need to worry about them. Security guards, all normal workloads. May need to start looking into hiring another one for Whistler Valley. So we'll have to consider that here in the future. I think our next attraction may warrant a few additional staff members. Then our work rosters, we do have to change Whistler Valley. We have to include just the last couple sections. And you know what? We might as well just do as much of this as we can. So there we go. Anything up there? Sure. Anything down here? Absolutely. There we go. So Whistler Valley looking much better now. Our guests. Let's take a look. So 100% happiness, as always. Energy 73%. That's pretty decent. Hunger at 64. Thirst at 50. Toilet at 66. And nausea at 99. Nothing outrageous there. Our teens in the park, they are spending about $1 a minute, so that is really good. Our families, less than $1 a minute, and maybe about 75 cents. I don't know if I did math there right. The adult groups, they are also about $1 a minute. So adult groups and teen groups, where we're making our most per person. Or per group, I guess. I don't know exactly how that works, but they tend to make the most money for us. But nothing worth changing here. Our guest thoughts. Skyride tends to just get so much, and that's because a lot of people are coming out for Wicked Wolf now, and Falcon, and the Steam Train. A lot of people really want to ride the Steam Train. Empyrean, really good value. Everything's really good value. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. A lot of people that are thirsty. The queue for Skyride was full. This is in red, but I think that's a good thing. in this park. So I'm pretty pleased with those. I'm not too concerned about the graphs here. Now our attractions, we're about halfway through, so we should be alright to sort by profit here. Now Steel Eagle made $3,500 last month. That's really good. Aerial Attack, $1,500. That's awesome. Scissor, $1,100. Hercules, $1,100. Solar Eclipse, $1,100. Empyrean, $1,000. That's actually pretty low for 1,000, or for Empyrean. Air Traffic Control, $900. That's, it must have broke down. There's no way around that one. Falcon, $895, and that's reviving. And we're going to prep because this is going to become classic here very soon. So we know it's going to be restricted by our rule when rides become classic. So $1,125 is where we're going to charge for that. Balloon Flight, $832. That's really high for Balloon Flight. Crankshaft, $629. That's pretty low actually. Stunt Pilot, $520. Carousel, $455. That's pretty good. Wicked Wolf, $340. And this is going to get better and better and better as more people get out and we add in our new attractions. In terms of rides that broke down and did not make us money, Baggage Carousel, minus $100. That's really actually terrible. That's usually about $1,000. $1,000 in a month that we lost out on there. Rally Racers, that's usually about $1,000 that we lost. Steam Train, Parking Tram, Skyride, those are all rides that just are going to lose money at the moment. So nothing that we're too concerned about in that area. Now our shops and stalls. Whoa, Propellers made $1,200. That is a huge number. Wing It Tiki Chiki made $730. That's really good. Barrel Rolls, $634. The other propellers at just under $600. Barrel Roll, man, that area of the park was hopping. And I wonder if that's because of Baggage Carousel breaking down. Although people don't tend to wait in that line very long. The ticket, mid at the front, almost $500, $450 almost. The Skyride stalls right in the front of the park there, Gulpy and Monsieur Freet, those did really well. Bear Paw Eats did really well. Storistas, $340. That's very, very rare. Steel Eagle Gift Shop, that of course made some money. Baggage Balloons, Bear Paw Eats, wow, just everything. Cosmic Cow made a bunch of money. Elephant Set made money. That is just crazy. And then let's take a look at the ones that did not make money for us. Vending machines, Looney Balloon, Rally Racers, that's, I mean, negligible. Tickets, that's not bad. Guest services, that's not bad. Cosmic Cow, and then this other Wing It Tiki Chiki on this side. I don't understand why that one doesn't get the people, but it doesn't for whatever reason. Now, the one thing that we do need to do is we need to go into our advertising destinations for the different locations here. So guest service left. That is now added with flyer. Let's see, tickets. Ticket side entrance left. We need to add in flyer over here as well. They're all over the places. Unfortunately, menus are a little slower at this point. So we did those two. Do we have another one here? I know we do. Information 57. That one's coming. Actually, we should probably just rename this here quick. Whistle Stop Station Ticketing. let's go. Yeah, it's going to let me do that name. All right, so that's not going to be open, so we're not going to worry about that now. And I think there was one more in here. It was one that made money. So ticket mid. Ooh, and this one's actually not even fully updated to begin with. There we go. Yes. Yes. There's a lot of things we need to update here. I think now we've got all of them. Let's confirm that. And if you saw that I missed some in some of the other ones, just let me know. Of course, there are some shops that are closed, so we're not updating all the shops at the moment. But the shops that are open, we are updating with all of the rides with the priority pass queues already set up. So, now that we've done the shops, we've got that set up, let's go ahead. We got a 751 prestige. That's obviously really good for this type of ride. So we're going to charge $15. That is obviously going to drop when this ride becomes old, but at least we have another ride open, which will draw more people into this area and hopefully more people to Wicked Wolf and Falcon, so we can make some more money there. I really don't think this ride's going to be profitable for us. I don't. It's so far up this hill that I think, yeah, we're going to get some people up here, but by the time people actually get to this area, it's already going to be established and starting to drop. So it's more or less a complimentary attraction. Now, our facilities, we don't expect things to be making us any money. The Matford Airfield ATM is actually minus $34, so that's actually not terrible. A bunch of other places are minus 100. Our small attraction, Steel Eagle Crane game, has made the most money. Now, I wanted to take a look at this because we have a pretty decent setup here. So 40% chance to win. Now this is 45%. So let's drop that to 40. And actually, what was the price point on that? $350. So we need to change this to $350. And then that should also change the gifts to go one. So it's a little bit easier, but it doesn't cost, or it's a little bit harder, but it doesn't cost as much to run. So hopefully we'll start making some money with those shops. Our hotels, I think we're pretty good. We're getting close to the point where we're going to open Bear's Den. I think next episode, when we get our new attraction in here, our new big attraction, I think that's going to be one that we're gonna focus on. Sears Squad, that might get opened in the next episode as well. Now that we'll be pulling more people to this area. Unconnected facilities, those aren't too concerning, and those are fine. Our security, we have 24 people that have been pickpocketed in the park. It's just a thing that happens here. Security cameras charging, yep. Acts of vandalism spotted all time, 2. Wow, that's it. And nothing that's vandalized in the park, so that's awesome. And then, of course, our special effects. Nothing out of the ordinary there. So, yeah. We'll go ahead and we'll just shift this to the day-night cycle here for the end. But I do hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, make sure to leave a like. If you saw something I could have done better, let me know in the comment section below. And if you want to see some more awesome Planet Coaster content, please subscribe to the channel. So again, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Later.